I call the Minister, the Honourable Nicky Wagner.
Thank you, Mr Chair. I too rise to speak on the Christchurch City Council Rates Validation Bill at the committee stage. And if anyone has been following this debate over the last few weeks, they will understand that nobody likes to talk about retrospective or validation legislation. There has been a few bills in this House over the last couple of years that have fallen into these categories, and the House has struggled. We prefer things to be correct. We don't like to have to go back and clean them up afterwards. However, it is acknowledged in this case that a validation bill is the most practical, the most cost-effective, and the best way to address these historic rating irregularities of the Christchurch City Council. The bill seeks to validate rates irregularities going back to 2003-04 right through to 2012-13. And it all began after the Local Government Rating Act 2002 was passed, and the Council deliberately sought to simplify its resolution for setting rates and paying penalties for unpaid rates. Now, I think that was a positive desire. I think we're all aware of the need for plain language in local government legislation. And these new simplified resolutions were used successfully until the rules were found technically inadequate in 2012. Now, the Council at that time was able to correct the 2013-14 rate demands, but at that stage the rating resolutions had been out of order for 10 years. When the error in the rate setting was discovered by the Department of Internal Affairs in 2013, the Council treated it really seriously. They were shocked that defective resolutions had been accepted by the Department for 10 years without any concerns, and that the Council's auditors had never commented on them. So the Council commissioned a legal review, and councillors were briefed, and as soon as possible the information was connected and analysed. They held the Council meetings open to the public, and the minutes were available. So it was a very open process. As I've already said, at that stage the Council was able to correct its 2013 rates resolution, and they've now changed the process so that every year compliance is verified by legal and audit requirements. The Council is apologetic. It takes full responsibility for the errors prior to 2013. And their desire to further this bill demonstrates the seriousness of the situation. There is major legal risk for the Council if the errors aren't validated. The Council's always been very open with the public about the errors and open about the steps that they've taken to rectify them. And actually, the public have been largely accepting of the situation. No approaches were made to the Council during the notification period of the bill, and no submissions were made by the public to the Select Committee. But let me make it clear. In terms of the irregularities of the rates resolution, all the required rating information, the rating years, the dates for the rates instalments, the penalties, the calculations, the dates for the payments were all available to the public. They just weren't stated in the rates resolution. And let me also make it clear, no ratepayers have been disadvantaged by this resolution. In fact, nobody noticed the error for over a decade. So, error, yes, and of course we need our local councils to be accurate with information and to write resolutions correctly, but a victimless crime. I note that once notified, the Council took immediate action to rectify the situation, but I also note that over the decade in question, the personnel had mostly changed in the council. So the new council staff have had to take on the responsibility of fixing the past resolution and preparing this bill. And I thank them for that. I particularly thank the acting CEO.
Point of order, Carmel Sepuloni.
Seeking your advice again, it's just been pointed out to us that the Minister, during these committee stages, is giving her first reading speech word for word. Is that appropriate, Mr Chair?
No,
Seeking your advice.
It's not a point of order. The Honourable Nicky Wagner.
And may I complete my discourse? I'd like to thank the council staff, the staff that have been new to the council in the last 10 years, particularly Jane Parfitt, who's Mr Chair.
The Honourable Nicky Wagner.
Mr Chair. Particularly Jane Parfitt, who's the acting CEO at the time. It is not nice to have to take responsibility for other people's errors and to clean up after them, especially on top of all the other work that the Christchurch City Council is doing in terms of rebuilding our city. So I support this bill. It's the easiest, the most cost-efficient and the practical way to correct past irregularities and to ensure that the Christchurch City Council's resolutions now comply. Thank you, Mr Chair.